Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I feel like I'm a professor today or in Harry Potter. Anyway, for those of you guys that are new to the channel, my name is Claire Gentz. I'm a real estate agent out of Raleigh, North Carolina with Compass, and today we are chatting about the 3 areas that clients ask me about the most whenever they are relocating to Raleigh. Now, we do have areas outside of Raleigh that are obviously very popular that people want to move to, like since Raleigh in general, think of it as the triangle. So we have Durham, Chapel Hill, there's also Apex, Cary, and so those are neighborhoods, or I guess cities rather, that I am also asked about, but today I just wanted to focus on Raleigh itself and 3 of the main areas that people ask about that are moving here. So in order to help you guys follow along, we have an iPad here. I know, high tech. So we have an iPad, and as you guys can see here, I'm going to be screen recording so you can follow along with me. So the first area that we are going to talk about is North Raleigh, and then we're going to kind of work our way in. So we have our map here of Raleigh, and North Raleigh, for the sake of this conversation, is going to be where these red pins are. Now, one of the things in general, whenever I think of North Raleigh and how I describe it, I think of North Raleigh as anything kind of closer here to where you see 540. Now, a quick little geography lesson is with Raleigh, you have 2 belt lines. You have 440, which is the inner belt line, and then you have 540, which is the outer belt line. So when I think of North Raleigh, I tend to think of anything around 540 and above it. So you can see here, we have a couple of neighborhoods right here that are popular. There's also retail, shopping, dining. So that's kind of where the hub for those amenities are going to be, for lack of a better word. And then as you get further up Creedmoor, you're gonna have some more neighborhoods over here and kind of sprinkled throughout. And then up here you have Falls Lake. And so when I think of North Raleigh, the reason that the majority of people like North Raleigh, from my opinion, and this is because my husband and I used to live in North Raleigh, and from clients that I've worked with, if you are someone that is looking for a larger lot, like think half an acre to possibly up to 2 acres in some of the new construction communities, and you want more square footage, North Raleigh is typically an area that most people explore because you're still going to be within 20-30 minutes of the main areas in terms of North Hills and ITB, but you still are far enough out where you're going to be able to get more for your money. So one of the things in North Raleigh is you're going to see a mixture of more established neighborhoods, but then you're also going to have newer construction as well. And so typically the further north you get, like especially here towards Falls, especially here towards Falls Lake, like we discussed, and then also some of these. Why is my pen not working? There we go. So when you get further north, there's more land to build on. So a lot of the newer construction, where you're gonna see homes anywhere from probably like 1.2 on the low end to 1.3 up to probably like 2.5 million, are going to be up here kind of in the Falls Lake area, and then also in these neighborhoods as well. But whenever you get closer in, like on this side of 540, that's where you will see some new construction, but those homes are more so in established neighborhoods, and you're still going to be able to get a little more square footage and more land for what you're looking for, but some of those homes are not going to be nearly as updated, or they may be resale homes that someone has renovated over time. But if you're really wanting new construction and you're wanting 4,000 plus square feet, typically you are gonna have to start, looking kind of here and upwards, just because that's where there is land to build on. All right, now that we've talked about North Raleigh, let's go ahead and dive into our next area. Okay, so our next area that we are talking about is North Hills. So if you have thought about moving to Raleigh, North Hills is probably an area you've heard a lot about just because it is more in the city center and it's also one of the main hubs for retail, restaurants, office space, things of that nature. So if we look here on our map, North Hills here are the yellow dots. So whenever I think of North Hills, think of it as, you see here, this is 440 and this is the inner belt line that we talked about before. North Hills literally sits right on the belt line. So on the side of North Hills, again, I'm gonna zoom in here. You guys are gonna be able to see that here's where so many of the restaurants, sorry guys, I'm still getting a hang of this. So this is where, as you can see here, so many of the restaurants, shopping, all of that is right here in this central hub. So as you can imagine, this is a very desirable area to live because you have convenience and access to everything. So this is where, for example, the new Restoration Hardware and Rooftop Restaurant is going. You have Madewell, you have J. Crew, you have Lululemon, you have some local retail, you have some local restaurants, but this is where a lot of that is being built or has already been built. Last year, they started doing a $350 renovation to this area. There's also several luxury apartments like the Highland, the Eastern. So all of that is kind of right here in this hub, which is what makes the area so desirable. Now, as far as houses go, so if we zoom out here, North Hills, again, like most things, there's not like most areas, there's not necessarily like an exact defined line of where North Hills starts and stops, but it is a pretty, I would say, I probably even like overshot it on this map here, because once you kind of hit Millbrook, which is, again, if we can learn how to use this thing, once you kind of hit Millbrook, this up here is like a little too far. North Hills is probably a little bit of like a tighter pocket in here. But as far as homes go and as far as the neighborhood of North Hills, so in these areas, you're going to have a mix of predominantly two different style homes. You're gonna have mostly split levels that have either been renovated or still original, or you're going to have infill. So homes where the lots have been scraped and you have brand new construction. Now, if you're planning on buying new construction in North Hills, I would say it will be very difficult to find a home that's new construction for under 1.7. And that's because since the land in North Hills is so expensive, given everything that's in this pocket, it doesn't make sense for a builder to build a smaller square footage home. Like, for example, it's harder to find something under 4,000 square feet there. So it doesn't make sense for them to build a smaller square footage home and price it on the lower side, under 1.5, because they're paying so much for the land to begin with. So that's just to set expectations if you're thinking, I want to find a new construction home in the North Hills area. However, you also have the original split levels, and they're not all split levels. Some are ranches, but that is predominantly the style of home you're going to find in North Hills if it's not new construction. And some of those homes have been renovated, others have not, but on average, I would say the nicely renovated split levels I've seen are still around like 900 to low 1 million. So that again just kind of like sets expectation of the type of home and the price point you're going to find in that pocket. Okay, so now moving on, we're going to go to our third, and also these are not in order of most popular, by the way, but just third on our list in terms of areas that people ask about the most that are moving here. So we are going to go back to our map, and this time we are going to focus on the purple pins. So the third area is going to be ITB, but we're going to narrow it down even more. But for starters, whenever you hear ITB in Raleigh, that means inside the Beltline. Aside from North Hills, if you say I live in North Hills or ITB, those two are, I would say, the most desirable areas or pockets to live in because of the proximity that they have to everything. Again, everyone's different. You might want, like we talked about, more land and more privacy versus the convenience of being in the center of everything. To each their own. But just as a general rule of thumb, there's a reason that the land and property in North Hills and ITB are more expensive generally. So whenever we're talking about ITB, we are going, so here is 440, and basically anything kind of inside this loop here is considered inside the beltline. However, there are very specific pockets and neighborhoods inside the beltline that are most desirable, that people ask about the most. So if we zoom in here, the ones that we are going to kind of focus on today, so we have 5 Points. Over here you have Hayes Barton. We also have Mordecai or Mordecai. I'm sure someone will comment below how to pronounce it. And then we also have Oakwood. So the thing that I would point out about these 4 neighborhoods that all kind of border each other, and keep in mind there's also so many other neighborhoods similar to these all throughout the Beltline, but one of the reasons that these kind of 4 areas are the most popular is, the first thing is you have really great walkability. One of the things in Raleigh that, in my opinion, is kind of lacking is the walkability factor. So people who are coming from a larger city and have really great walkability, if that is something that you still want in Raleigh, you definitely have to narrow down to a smaller area, because there isn't just walkability in a ton of different spots. But these areas, Hayes Barton, 5 Points, Mordecai, and Oakwood, all have really great walkability. And as you can see, if I zoom in, you have so many different like shops, restaurants, you have great parks. If we go up onto this side here, you have some great like local spots, you have workout studios. Over here, again in 5 Points, you have, I know not all of them are showing up here, but like Noose River Brewing, that is a really great popular spot. Larry's Coffee. So basically, if for those people, why does this not, oh my gosh, okay. All right, here we go. So all that to say, for people, oh my gosh, guys, okay, here we go. So all that to say, for people who are moving here that really want walkability and want to be in an area that feels much more urban compared to some of these suburban areas or feeling areas that Raleigh has, this is going to be probably more of what you're looking for. So you have more of an urban feeling, you have walkability. The lots are going to be smaller typically, and you also have a mixture of, there are some new construction homes, and then you also have some renovated bungalow, craftsman style. Also some homes are still original. So there's definitely more of a mix of different style homes in these pockets, and they're definitely more established and have a good amount of character as well, versus the further out you get, it starts to feel a little more suburban and there's not as much character or different styles of architecture that you're going to see compared to in some of these pockets that are going to be inside the Beltline. So all that to say, if we kind of zoom back out here on the map, you can see where these 3 areas are in relation to each other. Now, when it comes down to what area is best for you, number 1, it might not be any of these spots in Raleigh. It could be Cary, Apex, Durham, Fuquay, Garner. But whenever I think of Raleigh, these are kind of like 3 of the main areas or hubs that kind of come to mind. And like most things, it really comes down to personal preference and what you're looking for, not only in a home, but a lifestyle. I have clients that have fallen in love with a home, but it's either too far away from what they do every day in terms of, you know, restaurants, workouts, or it's too far from work, or it doesn't have kind of like that culture and community that they're looking for. And so while they love the home, it's just not a fit for their lifestyle. And so these are things that I feel like it's really important to think about whenever you are moving and to talk through your agent with, especially if you aren't familiar with the area, because you want to make sure, okay, am I finding a home that fits what I'm looking for, like my needs and my wants and preferences, but also am I moving to the area that is going to fit my lifestyle as well. So as always, if you guys have any questions, if you are planning on moving to Raleigh or thinking of possibly making a move and what it would be like, I will give you all the details you need to know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which really just kind of comes down to like so many things, just like what is your personal preference and what are you looking for. But happy to have a chat. I hope that this was helpful. If there's any other specific areas you guys want me to cover, whether it's neighborhoods or other cities outside of Raleigh, let me know. And thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, thanks guys.